cell phones. If you need to conduct personal business during the meeting, please make a motion for recess. For those participating by phone, please keep your device muted unless speaking. When speaking, please remember to state your name for the benefit of those viewing the live stream. As a reminder, this meeting is being broadcast live. The camera is located above the clock at the back of the council chambers. Our proceedings follow Robert's Rules of Order. In accordance with Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04.090, to promote an orderly and respectful meeting, I respectfully ask the council to observe the following. Please speak recognition before speaking. No members may speak more than twice on the same motion without a vote to suspend the rules. No member may speak a second time until all who wish to speak have done so. These guidelines help ensure fairness, efficiency, mutual respect in our discussions. Madam Clerk, please take the roll. May speak more than twice on the same motion.
Cottle.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Crafton is absent and excused unless objection is raised. Councilmember Velock.
Here.
Councilmember Rubio.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Deputy Mayor. For the record, Mayor Ledford is traveling, and in her absence, our Councilmember Rubio serves as Deputy Mayor chairing the meeting. So thank you.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Velock, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are discussed, are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Relationship to declare. On the agenda tonight is AM number 25-25, contract award to Big Dipper Construction in an amount of $57,080.57 for West Foggy Drive improvements. While I do not have a conflict of interest to declare, I want to make the public aware of my relationship with Big Dipper Construction. The company is owned by my father, and he is not a member of my household, and I have no financial interest in his company. Are there any more interests to declare? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented unless objection is raised. We are now on to special orders of the day, and there is one proclamation that I will read for Mayor Ledford. City of Wasilla proclamation recognizing Juneteenth as a day of reflection and celebration. Whereas Juneteenth celebrated annually on June 19th commemorates the day in 1865 when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas to enforce Emancipation Proclamation and ensure the freedom of all enslaved people in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth stands as a powerful reminder of our nation's history and the resilience, courage, and contributions of African Americans in the face of injustice. And whereas the City of Wasilla is committed to fostering an inclusive and an equitable community that honors the diversity and cultural heritage of all of its residents. And whereas Juneteenth serves as an opportunity for education, reflection, and celebration, encouraging all citizens to acknowledge the significance of history of this historical day and to work together towards unity and justice. And whereas events and gathering held in recognition of Juneteenth provide an opportunity for the Wasilla community to come together, celebrate freedom, and reaffirm our commitment to equality. Now, therefore, I, Glenda D. Ledford of City of Wasilla, do hereby recognize June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth in the City of Wasilla and encourage all residents to join in commemorating this historical day through reflection, education, and participation in community events that celebrate freedom, diversity, and unity. Dated this day, 9th day of June 2025. General Simon Brown, would you come up to accept this, please?
And to the mayor and to the deputy mayor and the city council, thank you for this.
And I invite everyone to join us on the 19th in Palmer, where we do an educational thing about how Juneteenth fit into the community, into the state of Alaska. So thank you very much.
Not on the agenda tonight, but I would like to just recognize Senator Yunt, if you don't mind just standing, and Representative Alexi Moore and Jubilee Underwood. We will now hear from the acting city planner on Planning Commission.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Rubio. May was a great month for us. We met on the 14th of May and approved the Home 2 Suites Hilton Hotel, which will be 107 rooms and a pool. And so we had a groundbreaker, compliments of the chamber organized that. We had a groundbreaker event last week. And then on the 28th of May, which was the day after Memorial Day, we did not have a Planning Commission meeting, but we will meet tomorrow with quite a bit of good information about the comp plan progress and the SEDS and how they work together. And so if you want to join us tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, we would love that.
Thank you. And now the finance director will provide us an update. I know you know Cassie, but please state your name for the record.
Cassie Lynn, Director of Finance. This is just kind of an overview of what the Finance Department's been up to for the last about 5 months since our January report that we began with. We are currently in our FY25 close of the fiscal year and beginning audit prep. So tonight under AM 2526, the city is awarding possibly a 3-year contract to BDO. They have been our city's audit firm for over 15 years. Our staff in all the finance departments divisions are preparing for the fiscal year end on June 30th. So we will be quite busy that last week of June, beginning of July, while we're getting reports and other information available. FY26 budget, as you all know, you've been here with me. We've had roughly 11 meetings that have happened. Tonight will be our 12th on that. And tonight we are going to be covering amendments 44 to 62, along with other amendments possibly from the floor. With payroll, we have successfully implemented direct deposit stubs that have been emailed to staff since the first part of February. And a lot of people have appreciated that and not have a lot less paper. I also like to thank Lacey Ficklin, who's our payroll clerk, for all her work with regards to fixing the recent PERS and SBS issue with the state of Alaska and getting it before the state imposed deadlines so that interest can be accrued on that. WPDA negotiations, the city negotiating team and WPDA have met 3 times. We will actually meet again this week on Wednesday, June 11th. So the city has tentatively agreed to some work conditions and other matters. And then on Wednesday, June 11th, we will be meeting to go over different financial proposals. And the council, we will be having an executive session either at the next regular meeting on June 23rd, or we may come here sooner with a tentative agreement if the WPDA ratifies that agreement, tentative agreement prior to that. So just stay tuned. Sales tax. So on Thursday, if anybody tried to file sales tax in the morning on June 5th, the Muni Revs platform, which our businesses use to submit their sales tax returns, received a much needed update for the multi-tenant platform. So our system was down roughly about 6 hours. It started around 5 a.m. and it returned online about 11 o'clock in the morning. Now when you log in, there will be different sites. The colors, graphics will be updated. There's a little bit of a difference in view that may be modified. However, the functionality remains unchanged. It's the same process as it always been. It's just a little bit, got a little cosmetic upgrade on it. The biggest thing is probably our Tyler technology implementation. So Jackie Pritt, controller, and I have been meeting with Tyler Technologies for over 13 days to discuss the implementation for the past 5 months. We have currently gone through every single module within the financial module. We've seen an orientation. And then we are currently in a stage that's called Assess and Define, which is the actual project of 2.2 area. So each of our phases within the ERP implementations has 6 stages. So we're going to be implementing our financial stage, our HR, payroll, our timekeeping software, along with our permits and licensing, and then utility billing will be the very last thing that we have. So each of those have 6 phases that we'll run through until July of 2029, I believe, is currently right now scheduled. We are, once we complete all of our analysis spreadsheets, along with our chart of accounts, about the 3rd week of July, Tyler will begin our data conversion into our test environment. Once this complete training with power users within their areas of ERP will start in August, and we'll begin that processing and testing and all the information along with that. We are still scheduled for July 1st, 2026 go live date, so FY27 budget would be in the new software. And there we will begin that process, and then a year from now we'll be probably crazy with hair on fire, but here we are. Last but not least, for staffing, we have interviewed 2 applicants for our staff accountant position on actually last Wednesday on June 4th. We will decide on one of those applicants this week and hope to have them in the office in the beginning of July to help us with some of that transition for implementation and other projects that we are needing some help with. Otherwise, that's everything that I have.
Thank you, Cassie.
Madam Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask a question of staff? So early on in your report, you mentioned an issue with PERS. Could you explain what that issue was, and is it an ongoing issue or something that?
So back in, I believe it was February, March of this year, the beginning of the year, actually it was before that, it was in October. So the state of Alaska Department of Retirement Benefits actually took down their system because they thought they had a threat to their environment, which meant that we as a city could not upload any of our employee contributions to the site along with the employer side of that. It took about 90 days before they kind of got that cleared through the processes of their IT department. And then beginning about in January, we were given certain processes to start manually uploading all of our contributions. And so it was spreadsheets for every single payroll for that, and we had to have that all in and complete by April 15th of 2025 in order to not be penalized as a city. So, and they've, everything now is up to where it's back, and they've completed everything.
Okay, so we won't have this time crunch, we'll just have the normal.
Yep.
Thank you.
No further questions. Thanks, Cassie. Next, we'll hear from the Public Works Director with an update.
Good evening, Eric Shaw, Public Works Director. Tonight I wanted to give the council an update on multiple regional road projects. We'll be talking about MPO projects, Matsu Borough projects, and DOT projects. So the MPOs existed for about a year now, and we're in the middle of proposing projects to the state and through their federal partners to start to use the funds that have been allocated to the MPO. There is an amount that was initially funded into the MPO that we were able to hold over because the program was so new, there was no way to receive approval for those. So we have a balance that we're working on, which is pretty exciting. So a couple things that are happening. There is a program, they call it the 2025 project nomination process. And so the borough, the city of Wasilla, and the city of Palmer got together, and with the MPO direction, we had to look for projects that didn't require too much permitting. So didn't need to change any of the right of way, didn't need to get extensive environmental approval first to try to spend those monies that had been allocated but we couldn't spend the first year. The borough proposed 8 projects that were a mix of striping or milling and paving asphalt roads. The city of Palmer proposed 4 streets that they wanted to pave that are currently gravel. And we looked at 2 paved roads that need resurfacing. So we proposed Peck Street, which is breeding potholes every time it rains. And then the south section of Lucille Street between Nelson and Parks, which is also having major pothole issues. So through that nomination process, the DOT takes those projects and works up a design and construction budget, and it runs through their local design group. So it'd be in the Matsu office. So they have a working estimate for milling and repaving Peck Street of a little over $1.5 million. Our match is about 10% of that, which is an excellent ratio for us. And they're looking at a 2 to 3 year horizon. We're of course asking them to get that done in 2 years versus 3, but DOT has quite a heavy load with all of their designs, so we're still negotiating the timing on that. But for about $130,000 in match, we're eligible at this point to receive $1.5 million in repaving. To wait that long, though, means that we'll still have to do some emergency repairs on Peck. I anticipate that this next paving contract will have some cutting and patching to get us through for the next couple of years, hopefully 2 years, but possibly 3 as DOT works through that process. On Lucille Street, they have a working estimate of about $750,000, about $770,000, and our match for that would be about $65,000. And it would be roughly the same, where we would probably have to go in and do some semi-permanent patches to get us through until they come through and mill and pave that. So we're hopeful that that is accepted through the federal nomination process, and we could see those benefits to the city streets in the next few years. The next couple projects have to do with planning, and so they are a little easier for the MPO process to accept monies for. The first one is a streetlight and intersection management mapping project. And so what that does is it goes through and identifies all of the city streetlights, all the streetlights within the MPO boundary, but would identify their location, identify what they are, if they're not LEDs yet or if they are LEDs, and then it would even dive into the style of pole that they use. So you could have an inventory on what kind of poles you need to have in reserve when they get knocked down during accidents. It would look into if they're not operating, if they need electrical repairs, there's some funding for that. And then it would map the circuitry so you know where the load centers are that control the lights, so that repairs are easier to effect and you understand how your systems interact with each other. One thing that you may not know is that it's typically required that there be hardwired connections between stoplights. That's how they're controlled on the timing, so that they turn green at the right time, and no one wants to go red light, red light, red light. You want to hit a green light and go all the way through. So that mapping of those data connections is very important, so that if you start to see failures, you can understand what you need to do to fix them. So that project funding request right now is about $400,000 for the whole MPO. The city would be would have a majority of the infrastructure that's mapped, because we, being as dense as we are and having as many streetlights as we are, we'd see a very overwhelming benefit from that. And our match is estimated at the moment to be about $10,000 for that grant. The next one is a sign management plan, which is mapping where all the signs are in the MPO boundary and looking at their effectiveness for safety, but also coming up with a replacement schedule so that they have the right level of reflectivity. So they call it retroreflectivity. There's federal standards that are stated for replacing faded signs or signs that had their reflectivity layer failing, so that we meet those standards. So That's also a $400,000 project with a $10,000 match to the city. And the last one is a pavement management plan, which includes mapping the roadways using PCI laser data collection. So they drive those specialized vehicles around. The borough has started doing this in the last few years, but the DOT's been doing it for a long time. They're kind of like a photocopier for the road. They drive along with lasers and LiDAR, and they do it at 35 miles an hour, and they collect terabytes of data on your roads, and then they come back and they give ratings or a pavement condition index of your streets, and that really allows you to quantify the state of your streets, and then you can make data-driven decisions on fixing the worst roads or fixing your high-volume roads that are starting to show wear. And really, we would use that to, we'd attack the worst roads, but we'd use it to know when we need to start to do interventive repairs on roads before they get too bad. We would like to get to a point where we catch the roads before we have potholes. We start to do interventions earlier. That's estimated to be a $300,000 project and would have about a $6,000 match to the city. The next projects have to do with the borough and jointly being part of some of their grants. So you may recall that the borough did a Safe Streets for All program where they had multiple stakeholder meetings and looked at projects in locations that the community identified where pedestrian safety was at risk or where people had experiences of unsafe pedestrian accesses. That is moving directly into a grant project, or I'm sorry, a grant application to receive funds to address some of those projects. And so the broader Safe Streets for All had probably, I think it was a dozen projects. Several, of course, were in the city. Many were outside the borough. For the grant application, the borough has winnowed it down to 6 projects. Of one we're involved with, which they're calling the Wasilla Middle and High Schools Separated Path and Crossings. And it's kind of an amalgamation of projects along, along Cruzy. Cruzy's kind of the nexus, if you will. So there are 4 components to it. The first is adding a discontinuous route along Bogard. Right now, there's not really a separated path between the middle school and the high school. And so that's been on the request list for a few years to keep young people from walking too close to the road. There's also a new sidewalk up to the Brett Ice Arena. And then West Point Drive, which is a city street that leads from Cruzy to Cars Safeway, basically. That doesn't have sidewalk, so that's part of the connection that's in this. And then we haven't talked about it lately, but the pedestrian tunnel that goes under the parks that leads to, it connects the south side of town to the north side of town for pedestrians, so they don't have to cross the railroad tracks. That has some fundamental flaws, and so we've added that request to improve that access so we can keep it open. And that project has a working total right now of about $3.2 million. I don't recall there being a match on it. I'll have to double check with the borough, but none of the documents that I have show a match. The total request for the Safe Streets for All project grant is about $17.5 million. And the last update, I'll talk about DOT projects. We know that there's a lot of construction going on, so DOT sent out to stakeholders a list of their current projects that are in construction this summer. So I'll go over those. So they have bundled projects together when they're similar. So there's a Big Lake road repaving project that's bundled with a Church Road repaving project. So the Church Road is what we'll see. So they're anticipating paving all the way from Schrock down to the parks. So that'll be very impactful, both positively, but also there'll be some traffic constraints while they do that, but I think we're all pretty excited to know that Church will be upgraded. Staying on Church, they're also going to be adding a blinking beacon. So they're calling it the Church Road and Spruce Avenue intersection flashing beacon. That is a very active intersection, and so this is a kind of a stopgap project through the DOT to address safety concerns there. They'll be improving drainage, and they'll be doing some curb ramp and pathway upgrades as they do some slight realignments there, as I think they're building towards a larger project at some point. The next project is, and you're already aware of this, but the Bogard Road pavement preservation from Trunk Road all the way to Wasilla Fishhook. So they've been out doing the curb ramp replacements so that they meet ADA standards. I believe they've started milling and paving from the Trunk Road this way. I've heard a lot of negative comments online recently about potholes. I don't think this wet weather has been helping the contractor through the periods before they can repave, so that's been unfortunate. But eventually they'll end up right at our doorstep repaving up to Wasilla Fishhook. So look for that to be done, but also be prepared for some traffic impediments while they do that. We talked about the Church Road and Spruce intersection flashing beacon. And then the last one on their list is, of course, the Main Street project. That is in the final stages of design. They hope to certify it, which means say that it's done this fall. They want it to go out this fall so that the contract is being let by the first of the year, and then construction would start next summer. It's definitely a 2-year project, probably 2.5, and the working estimate right now for that work is between 70 and 80 million. So it'll be a substantial upgrade to the downtown core. It'll be a very large project for the contractors that are bidding on it, and it'll be substantially impactful to this downtown core. The last project I'll let you know about is the Wasilla Fishhook and Spruce Avenue and Peck Street roundabout. So that right now is, Wasilla Fishhook just has the free-flowing traffic, and Peck and Spruce both have to stop and figure out how to merge onto that. There'll be a roundabout installed there with Wasilla Fishhook still being the main connection, but it'll be a lot like the roundabouts you see on Trunk, where the side roads have safer access and reduce injury collisions. Those are the top projects. There's many, many more, of course, in the queue as we work with our local and regional partners like the borough and the state, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Eric. Very informative. I have several questions. The first one, you mentioned a holdover from funds that were unable to be spent by the MPO. What's the amount of that holdover, and is this like our CIP where we've got 5 years to use it, or do we have to use it the next year?
Yeah, it definitely has a lifespan to it. The monies associated with the current fiscal year mean that they would expire, so the MPO's programming that so we don't let that happen. I would have to double check for the exact number, but it's several $1 million.
Okay. And then if no one objects, I have a couple other questions here. You mentioned the railroad tunnel. The railroad tunnel was built, believe it or not, in my lifetime. It was built to provide, safe travel where people didn't have to walk across the berm and across the railroad track. The tunnel has been problematic since its inception. Yeah. It is colloquially known as the rape tunnel, okay? Because of it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If a police officer is going to get there, they have to make a special effort to get there. And to say that it is a good idea, poorly implemented, would be correct. So I would encourage you to discourage any sort of upgrades on that tunnel, any use of that tunnel at all, to work with the railroad to abandon that idea. I mean, it hasn't worked. We the city, have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, improvements, on maintenance, with no effect. And every time we improve it, it just gets worse. So I would encourage you to work with the administration to abandon any idea of spending money on that tunnel, because it, pouring good money after bad doesn't do any good. So just my thinking there. And you mentioned a beacon, a flashing beacon. Is this like Evergreen Street in Palmer, a flashing red light or flashing yellow light? Is it
Yeah.
a stop sign?
It's gonna be a
essentially?
flashing red light from what I
Okay,
understand.
so four-way stop, okay.
I don't know if it's going to stop Church. I think it might just be on Spruce as a beacon to stop at Church, if that makes sense. I don't think it stops Church.
Okay, thank you. And the last question would be, you mentioned the roundabout. What's the timing on that roundabout?
So they're forecasting right now that it will go out to bid this fall and be constructed in '26.
But for the city itself, we won't be actually seeing any MPO money for, pavement improvements for 2 more construction seasons, this season and next season, and then the following season is when we will see the.
That's the hope. Yes, correct. Yeah. And
Alright.
so that's the concern that we brought up with DOT, knowing that those projects, the Peck Street mill and pave, would fall on the laps of the designers and contract managers here in the Matsu regional office. They're already pretty overwhelmed, and so we want it sooner rather than later. And so we're talking about ways to speed that up, but we haven't found solutions to that yet.
Okay, and if we are, coming back to the holdover money, if we are unable to spend that money because they approved the project, but there's no way to work it, what happens to the money then? Does it go to DOT? Does it go back to the feds? What?
I don't know what happens to that. I'll find out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
No further questions. Thank you, Eric. We have no ordinance scheduled for public hearings, so we will proceed to persons to be heard. This is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. Please note that this is not a question and answer period. Speakers may be referred to administration, and items raised may be taken under advisement. Our first speaker is Dan Fleckenstein. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name, and if you are a city resident, comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Dan Fleckenstein. I am outside the city limits. I'm the president of the Matsu Softball Association. And I wanted to thank you for partnering with Matsu Softball under a management agreement at the Bumpus Softball Complex. We really appreciate being able to use that facility. Our 41st season is now underway. We're a couple weeks into our local leagues. We have 54 teams in our leagues and about 1,000 folks a week using the ballpark. A couple weeks ago, we hosted a tournament up at Bumpus called the MVFCU Memorial, and we hosted 25 different teams from around South Central Alaska, and it was quite a very busy weekend at the ballpark. This spring, the membership of Matsu Softball invested about $6,000 in repairs to the fencing at the fields. We had some storm damage. The wind blew a tree over into the outfield fence and knocked it down, which we repaired. And there was a bunch of other smaller things that needed repair and maintenance just from general normal use. We're also spending an additional $3,000 in about a week to have the infields improved. And also we're gonna have a lot of excessive turf stripped away from the fence line to hopefully improve some of the drainage and stormwater runoff when we have storms. From the rain that we had over the past weekend, the water accumulated on the fields and it's still there. So our games tonight were canceled, and we're hopeful to work on a plan to improve the drainage for the ballpark. We're in the process of repainting all the bleachers and dugouts and the concession building at the ballpark. We're about halfway done with that, and so far it looks really, really nice. There were several other projects that we worked on this spring. One of them was to go around the entire perimeter of the ballpark and cut the brush back about 15 feet from the fence line so that we could have a fairly nice walking path for folks to utilize that as a walking path during games. We've been working on our parking lot. We're due to have that graded here in about a week. Our parking lot is gravel, unimproved, and it's much in the same condition that it's been since the early 1990s when the ballpark was built. And we've been working, it's been great to work with the folks at Public Works. They've been super helpful over the last few years. We've been meeting with them for improvement plans. And hopefully sooner than later, we can have paving and an updated design for the parking lot there. The main concern is that when we host large tournaments, of which we do about 4 times a year, we'll have as many as 12 or 1,500 people at the ballpark during the weekend. And it's been a real challenge to keep the access open and passable, especially for emergency vehicles. If somebody's injured on the field, we need to get an ambulance in there real quick. And that's still a major concern. We're very much looking forward to having bathrooms at the ballpark. We've been using portable bathrooms there for about 30 years at an expense to the association, and it also doesn't really provide the level of service that we'd hope. Bumpus Ballpark is actually a world-class facility. It's known as the best place in the state of Alaska to play ball, and we want to maintain it as such. Thank you for your support of recreational activities in the community. We really appreciate the things you do to make the parks nice and have them a great place for our residents to recreate. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second is Dan Ostrom. Don, I'm sorry, Don.
It's Ostrom.
Ostrom. Don Ostrom. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name, and if you are a city resident, comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Don Ostrom. I'm not a city resident, and I sound hoarse. I was umpiring the high school state softball championship this past couple days, so I sound a little hoarse from umpiring a few of those games and traumatic. But I'm here to support Bumpus Ball Field and its upgrades as much as we can. Bumpus Ball Field, well, the name Bumpus, it's going to be living with me forever because he was my baseball coach in 1980 and 81. He was a fine man, and I'm glad to be up here helping support the Bumpus Ball Field and the Softball Association. I'm the UIC at Mat-Su Softball. I've been umpiring for Mat-Su Softball for 13 years, and it's if you ever know about umpiring, it's not always the pleasant thing to do, but we make it work. So I got a great staff of umpires. I think some of the best in the state. I got a lot of compliments on my stuff, but I think I'm up here to really support the improvements of Bumpus Ball Field. With Charlie Bumpus, I even got to ride in his airplane to a game in Glen Allen. So Bumpus is something that's going to live with me for a long time, and I'd like to see the upgrades continue on. So thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Don. We are now at the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the items for approval under the consent agenda by title.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. We have regular meeting minutes, April 28th, April 28th is regular meeting minutes, special meeting minutes, April 29th, May 1st, and May 5th. Introductions, we have five ordinances for introduction, recommended public hearing on June 23rd, 2025. The first is ordinance serial number 2515, amending Wasilla Municipal Code, Chapter 2.16, entitled Mayor, to amend Section 2.16030, qualification of mayor, to require the mayor to be a resident of Wasilla for 2 years instead of 1 year. Ordinance serial number 2516, amending Wasilla Municipal Code 228.020, appointment, and 232.020, appointment, and 385.030, appointment at will employment, to require appointments of the finance director and the police chief to be subject to confirmation by council. Ordinance serial number 2517, amending Wasilla Municipal Code, Chapter 201, Code of Ethics, to amend 201.010 definitions to define immediate family member and conflict of interest to include all members of an immediate family, even those outside an official's household, and amending financial interests to include interests held by an official's immediate family. Ordinance serial number 2518, amending the fiscal year 2025 general fund by appropriating $19,600 from the general fund balance to the clerks and council to cover personnel expenses due to an increase in special meetings. Ordinance serial number 2519, amending the fiscal year 2025 budget by appropriating $150,000 from the general fund balance to cover shortfalls in the fiscal year 2025 budget regarding legal services for records management, human resources, planning, police administration, and public works administration departments. One resolution for approval, resolution serial number 2518, accepting a Federal Aviation Administration grant for $361,411 for the Wasilla Municipal Airport perimeter fencing project. And lastly, 2 AMs for approval. The first is AM number 2525, contract award to Big Dipper Construction in the amount of $57,080.57 for West Foggy Drive improvements. Lastly, AM number 2526, contract award to BDO USA in the amount of $310,460 for fiscal years 25, 26, and 27 financial audit services.
That's impressive. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We are now at unfinished business. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance by title.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Ordinance serial number 2514, repealing and reenacting Wasilla Municipal Code Title 16 Land Development Code to substantially change the uses permitted in each zoning district, the review, enforcement, and permitting procedures, the planned unit development, landscaping, parking, conditional use, and variance procedures, and the design standards imposed by the city. This ordinance was postponed from previous meetings. There is a main motion to adopt pending.
Council, is there discussion? Councilman Graham?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. Madam Deputy Clerk, I move to postpone consideration of ordinance 2514 for the next regular meeting, which would be July 14th. Is that correct?
June 23rd?
June 23rd.
June 23rd. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Go ahead, Mark. I second that. Deputy Mayor.
It has been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock to postpone ordinance number 2514 as amended to the regular meeting on June 23rd, 2025. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. We're going to take a brief at ease, 5 minutes.
We scheduled it.
Gonna do a quick mic change.
Otherwise, we were gonna share.
Yeah.
This one. End of the meeting, I'm gonna move to reconsider.
Back on. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance by title.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Ordinance serial number 2525, providing for the adoption of the annual budget for fiscal year 2026 and appropriating funds to carry out said budget. Again, like the previous one, this ordinance is postponed from several different meetings. Main motion to adopt is pending.
Council, is there further discussion? And if so, do we wish to enter committee of the whole to hear from the administration on any of the amendments?
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move that we enter committee of the whole, which would include the council, the staff, to discuss amendments before moving forward.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Schmidt. To go into committee of the whole. The time is 6:44. Is there further discussion? Madam Clerk, you can do an overview of where we're at.
Thank you. So before you in memo format, you have all of the amendments adopted to date. And then you see packets here, we have the pink colored packets, the yellow colored packet, and then one white page. And so these are the amendments. The pinks were sponsored by, one is myself, I requested Councilmember Graham bring that forward. The others are from Councilmember Graham directly. And then our yellow packet is sponsored by Councilmember Crafton, who of course is absent from this evening's meeting. And then lastly, one from Councilmember Rubio. So I don't know if you want to discuss these, you know, we can take them one by one to discuss whatever the wishes of the council is.
I'd like to see us go one by one like we have in previous meetings.
Okay, so we will start with amendment number 44, if that works. Cassie, we're good? 44?
Madam Deputy Mayor, this amendment was brought forward by the clerk, sponsored by me here, but this is just to include we tend to be spending a lot more on legal than we have in the past, and the clerk believes that this would bring our budget in line with what we propose for expenses for next year.
Any further discussion? Is there any objection?
Once we're out of committee, the whole will move and
We'll move
vote
on,
on it.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll move them then. We are on to number 45. And that's
Madam
the
Deputy
CIP.
Mayor, this amendment was brought forward by me. If we look at our hazard mitigation plan for the city, and we listen to the hazard mitigation folks that spoke to the city earlier this year, the city's largest exposure, biggest hazard that we have is wildfire. Wildfire caused by the spruce bark beetle, decimation of our trees. I think we lost about 90% of the black spruce in the city were destroyed. Some have been removed by homeowners, some have been removed by the city, but there is still a tremendous amount of standing black spruce here in the city, and it poses a significant wildfire hazard, particularly given the fact that we are a little bit of a windy city. Not so much as Palmer, like you've got that designation over there, but we have, if a wildfire were to break out, we've got a lot of fuel sitting there waiting to be burned. So what I've done with this amendment is I'm bringing forward, asking for $250,000 to put together a spruce bark beetle removal fund, essentially, and I would ask that our Public Works go out and work with the tree companies to come up with a program similar to what was done with the North Lakes Community Council, where a contractor would bid on this and would come in and remove those trees. So the city would propose some trees to be removed, but homeowners, property owners, could propose trees to be removed as well. Now, obviously, the city's not in the business of maintaining private property, but we do have an obligation here to protect that private property and to assist homeowners with that. So what I would be proposing on this is we would move forward with put together a project in coordination with the tree company or companies that respond, where the city would pay 75% of the removal of dead spruce bark beetle trees on private property within the city. And then, of course, the city would pay for 100% of what's going on here. 50% of this amount would be used for removal of trees on city property, and 50% would be available to private homeowners. So I'm asking for that we appropriate $250,000 for this program. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we,
Ian Crafton.
oops,
Has joined.
Ian has joined at 6:49. Can we get administration to speak about this?
Through Deputy Mayor, so I think this is a worthy project. I'd like to maybe look at what the Department of Forestry has for vehicles to do that. I'll be looking at legal in the future, if this amendment passes, to make sure that we aren't opening ourselves up to liability and we have the right legal relationship with the community, but I agree with Mr. Graham. I think we're at extreme risk for wildland fires. I'm glad that it started raining. I know we want more sun, but I was really nervous there beginning of April when anything that caught fire turned into wildland fire. So I think we can put together a pretty interesting program if this funding is approved.
And allocation of this money doesn't put together the program. The program would be brought together and then enacted by ordinance by the city council. So.
No further discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, so Councilmember Graham, so this 250,000, how did we come up with that number?
We looked at the North Lakes Community Council, used some borough money a couple of years ago. I used to work for MTA and community service rep, so I went to all the different community council meetings. And this is kind of modeled after what they were doing. We don't have an inventory of how many trees we have out there. We don't have any idea. But we will know if we put the program together and a contractor starts responding and homeowners start responding, we will have a pretty good idea of how big a dent we're going to make. Do I anticipate that $250,000 is going to solve the problem? No, I do not. But I think it's a good start for us to put a program together and to figure out exactly how we're going to manage it. But so we've got to manage taking the trees down. We've got to manage getting rid of the dead brush that these are going to accommodate, and then of course disposing of the dead logs as well. So 250 is not going to get us out of the woods, but hopefully it will minimize the wildfire risk and set us up for continuing to do that in the future.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Flipping the page to number 46. Councilman Graham?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. This item was in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce CEO who is here today told me that the Chamber is not charging dues to the city, the $2,500, but the $2,500 is listed in the Deputy Administrator's budget as dues for the Chamber of Commerce. So this would be to delete that. And do I see a head nod up or down back there from the Chamber? I see a head nod up. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? On to 47. And Councilman Graham?
Thank you. Madam Deputy Mayor, this is kind of getting the cart in front of the horse a little bit. In our discussion of Title 16, I'm going to propose to delete the downtown overlay district. And if that is the case, then we would not need any travel associated with that downtown overlay district. We could always add this back in if we end up not deleting it. But I didn't anticipate 12 budget meetings. I thought we would be working through other things by now, but that's what this is all about.
Any further discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Graham, what was the travel for this? I missed that somewhere.
That I don't know. I think that would have fallen under planning. Crystal, can you talk to that?
Yeah, this particular expense was part of some staff development to go to some conferences, specifically around downtown design. It's been in there for a long time, and so I think it's just appropriate that it's a little bit more of a cleanup than anything.
No further discussion. Moving on, flipping the page to number 48 and Councilman Graham.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. This reduces the interfund transfer for one vehicle. The initial budget had us increasing our police force by 2 officers, which would have required 2 vehicles. We've since decided that there will only be a 1 officer increase, so we don't need 2 vehicles to support 1 officer.
IT. Yeah. Informational.
What's this, IT? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, this one actually comes from the IT department. Currently, they're just using their personal vehicle and being reimbursed. I don't see any need for us to buy a vehicle for the amount of use that is occurring here, and since there was no objection from the IT department to using their own vehicle, that's where that came from.
Madam Deputy Mayor, they do have a vehicle that they use on a daily basis. They have one of the escapes outside.
It's a shared vehicle, right?
No, it's
It's a
completely
pooled
for,
vehicle.
it's
No.
completely for IT. It is their vehicle. It used to be for finance, and finance hasn't used it. We barely use it at all. So IT uses it to go to the PD Menard and MatCom, so they use it more than we ever did. And so they do use it daily. I know that they go back and forth with equipment and different things in it.
Thank you. No further discussion? Flipping the page to number 49, and Graham, you can repeat if you want to.
Thank you. This is for repairs to the MatCom EOC building, the former police building over there. After some review of the contract, who's responsible for what maintenance over there? So pretty much the city maintains the exterior walls, maintains the second floor, maintains the elevator, and has some responsibility for maintenance in the lobby and the reception area there. But the way I read the contract, and I wasn't contradicted by the attorney, who didn't necessarily agree, but she didn't disagree, was that if MatCom wants new lights in there, the city pays for them. If the EOC wants new lights in there, the EOC should pay for them. So that's kind of where this comes from. There was also some discussion about upgrading the HVAC for the building. Mr. Shaw was going to do some investigation about whether we could upgrade the HVAC, particularly the filtration for our server room, for just us, or do we have to do the whole building? And I haven't heard the answer back on that yet. I don't know if you've had a chance to look into that, but if you could comment on that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So the HVAC portion of this request is just for the MatCom server room, which serves all of our 911 capabilities. I've been trying to work with a HVAC contractor that we normally have service all of our stuff. They are not comfortable doing the heat load calculations, so I need to bring in an actual server room designer for that. So if the 50,000 would remain, that would be very useful for us protecting that irreplaceable infrastructure. But that money, the 50,000, would not go to any HVAC that serves the EOC. It would just be for the MatCom server room.
So once again, this is just for repairs to MatCom and those areas over which the city has responsibility in that building. Anything that the EOC wants done, they're certainly welcome to do that as a tenant improvement, but they would pay for that out of their budget.
Any further discussion? Flipping the page, going to number 50, which is Councilman Graham.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. For several years now, I can't recall if it's 5 years or 6 years ago, that we kind of adopted a paving program for the city to pave gravel roads. And we said, well, we could do that in 5 years for $1 million a year, which is about the capacity that the city has to be able to do that. This year, that number has jumped up to $1,200,000, and all this does is this reduces from $1,200,000 to $1 million for the year, so we maintain that consistency of $1 million a year.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll flip the page to 51.
Madam Deputy Mayor, this has to do with the Alaska Railroad Corporation improvements, and when we talk about improvements here, mainly we're talking about repairs. I mean, we've got a budget. Essentially, we have a fund that just needs to be recapitalized every year. In this case, the fund is overcapitalized, so we're just not putting more money into a fund that's not doing anything. We're keeping funds with our finance department so they can be invested and work for the city.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we're gonna flip the page and go to 51. Councilman Graham.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Part of our paving project for this year is to finish the paving on Riley Avenue. You know, we have paving at the start of Riley Avenue and then paving at the end of Riley Avenue. We've got a section there in the middle, a quarter mile or so, a third of a mile, which is unpaved. When I did a drive-through of this area, this talks about adding a pedestrian pathway, I think is what's called, pedestrian pathway along that area of Riley. I don't think we're at the point now that we need a pedestrian pathway on there. There is fairly light traffic on there. And to spend that money when it's not required, it's not a federal project, it's not federal money, so that pathway isn't required. So this is, you know, at this time, if we build it, we gotta maintain it. So this just keeps us from building it at this time. As Riley builds out and becomes more popular, we can always bring that in future budgets.
Councilman
Oh, on that note,
Schmidt.
yes, on that note, I thought we had notes in here that this is coming out of an appropriation fund already, is that correct? Mr. Graham?
If you could repeat that a little bit.
The $150,000 that was here, I thought that was coming out of an appropriation fund, is that correct?
I'm gonna look over at finance and public works on that.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Ian, go ahead.
Thank you. If I recall correctly, we just were talking about it. We decided we didn't really want to move forward with this project at this time. I think it was partly due because the matching portion didn't really show up quite yet, so we were just going to kind of hold on it. That's what my recollection was on this project.
Thank you. Eric, go ahead.
Yes, so through the mayor, we've been trying to get DOT to match us since they're a large landowner along there, and they haven't. So to wait makes sense until we can get them to be a partner, or like you said, traffic picks up on Riley.
Hearing no more discussion, we'll flip the page to 53, and Councilman Graham.
Thank you. Amendment 53 deals with the septic tanks on private property that the city maintains as part of our sewer system. During our discussion, initial discussion on the budget, there was a discussion that we're not pumping as many tanks as we thought we were. And so we're kind of overfunded at this point. So what this does is this brings us down to a number which Mr. Shaw talked about, which he thought would be spent on septic tank pumping this year. So would you like to comment on that, Eric?
Yeah, so I guess one comment, that the use of this money would be to purchase tanks and install them, not a contractual relationship with pumpers. So we have a couple tank replacement projects. We have identified close to a dozen around Lake Lucille that concern us, both from water quality concerns, but also they let groundwater into the system, which we don't want. And then we also have tanks in the downtown core that we need to replace before the Main Street project really gets going. So if it's reduced to 400,000, that'll just reduce the number of tanks we can get done. But we are also trying to use some of the state revolving funds that they have for this same project. So, you know, I'm not against the reduction, but if we have identified more tanks than the state will help us with, we may need to come back and ask for further funding. But we'll have a list of the shortfall for that.
Eric, I do have a question on that. How many tanks do we have right now? Have we purchased any, just sitting around?
Yeah, we purchased like 10 of each kind, basically. So we have, but I don't think we bought 10 concrete because they're really heavy. So I think we started with like 10 steel and 10 poly, and we've used about 2/3 of them. So we have 3 or 4 of each sitting around now.
So we
For
can
the
start.
next project, yeah. And we like to do that. We get a cost break if we buy more than 10. So that's how we've been purchasing them and saving money. We get several of each size and have them available for the contractors that we hire to do the installs.
Thank you.
Madam Deputy
Councilman
Mayor,
Cottle?
this question's for you, Eric. Eric, do you anticipate if you've got the funding of buying more tanks this year, since you're buying at a certain level to be able to
Yes.
save money?
Yeah, correct.
So you are hoping to get some this year?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
That raises another question, Eric. How many tanks are we looking to replace this year?
Well, we'd like to get up to 20, use up the stock that we have plus more. The bottleneck is, like we've discussed before, having the project management structure in place so that we can effectively replace those and not anger the homeowners. Because I think we talked at one of the last meetings, it's really different when you know you have to replace your tank and you're working with the contractor versus the city comes in and is running the project. And, you know, we need expectations and results to match so that we don't have conflict. We want to have a nice, smooth project where the contractor knows what the requirements are, the homeowner does too. We get in, we get out, we leave it the way we found it, and they're always very nuanced. So that's kind of the bottleneck right now.
Thank you. Councilman Cottle?
Councilmember Graham, if you're still wanting to do this budget decrease, I think this amendment would need to be rewritten because you were talking about tanks being pumped, but this is a septic tank replacement account.
Yeah, we can rewrite the rationale. The rationale doesn't necessarily carry forward. It's just the amendment goes through. So these were. You may have noticed that I'm kind of one-handed, and my primary hand is my right hand. So when I wrote this stuff out and gave it to the clerk, there was some discussion about exactly what was said there.
We'll forgive you. Any further discussion on 53? If not, we're moving to 54. And Councilman Graham, that's you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Amendment 54 here, if I could, well. I have a handout here. Give me just a minute. I'll find it. If we could get one of those to Mr. Shaw as well. So this project is actually adding money to construction services, adding a project. The picture that I handed out is an overview of Idita Park. It has Valley Performing Arts in there, it has Mat-Su Water Rescue, and has Swanson Avenue in there. There is a large city parking lot, which is going to be, hopefully you can see some red X's on that handout that I gave out. There's a large city parking lot there which accesses Idita Park, particularly the skateboard park and the Ninja course, I think is what we call that, and is the primary access for folks using the bike park as well. That also serves as the parking lot for Valley Performing Arts and for the Mat-Su Water Rescue Team when they're parking over there. So the X on the north side up by the number 500 up there depicts where a parking lot light, a street light essentially could be added, and the X on the south side depicts where a parking lot or street light could be added as well. So currently on the north side, near the 500 number, that is where the majority of Idita Park users tend to park and tend to congregate. It has proven to be a bit problematic over the years, just because it's younger people that may not necessarily understand the rules about using parking lots and using drugs in parking lots and that sort of stuff. So that has been problematic, particularly in the wintertime, because it's dark. There's no lighting there at all. And on the south side, down by the number 231, that's actually a septic pump pumping station, what do we call that, Eric?
Yeah, it's a stormwater pumping station.
Stormwater pumping station there. But if we were to add streetlights at both of those, it would light the majority of that area and would cut down on vandalism in that area and improper use of folks that are parking there. You can also see, if you go all the way to the bottom down there where it says 251, that is the mugshot. And mugshot does have parking, including where you see 230 there, but a lot of mugshot patrons prefer to park in that parking lot up there as well. So this just provides additional illumination for that. Our city code says that we should have illumination, we should have one street light essentially for every 25 parking spaces out there. We have 200 and some odd parking spaces in this lot here. So what this does is this adds the physical poles to that. The pole on the north up near the 500, actually their Valley Performing Arts has said we can tie into their power, and they will fund the power for that month to month. And that pole would serve both the parking lot and Idita Park. So there would be lighting going to the north and lighting going to the south. So, and Valley Performing Arts would pay the monthly bill on that one. The one to the south, where the city has the stormwater pumping station there, that would be the monthly utility expense would be funded by the city on that case. And if this parking lot illumination proves to be insufficient, Valley Performing Arts has said they can install another parking lot light on their building. But the location of these two here, the one on the north would just require trenching, and the one on the south is in a essentially a wild growth area. So there's not going to be any pavement damage to this. It's fairly inexpensive, and $19,000 at this point is just a guess of where it's going to be to get this lighting installed. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we will flip to page 55. Councilman Graham.
Thank you. Amendment number 55 deals with the Menard Center. We've talked at this several times about the need for replacing the ice covering so that the ice space can be used for other things during the year, which it currently is. The covering we have now is highly damaged, which we've already talked about. The initial guess on replacing that was $325,000. That estimate was a year old. What this does is it brings us up to the current estimate of $425,000 to replace the ice surface covering at the Menard Center.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we're flipping to amendment number 56. And Graham, that's you.
Once again, I believe this is the Menard Center. Is that correct? Yeah. Once again, this is the Menard Center. This just talks to what Mr. Bell had talked about several meetings ago about the anticipated amount of construction. We've done a whole lot of work over at the Menard Center lately, and it was his impression or his guess that we wouldn't need the entire $35,000. Would you like to comment on that, Mr. Bell?
Yeah, Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director. I think part of this originally originated in the previous meetings where there was a $57,000 balance in that account, and of which that $57,000 plus actually will cover the cost for us replacing the admin hallway flooring, admin office carpet, the front entry, the back entry, and the rubber flooring. And so at one point, I think there was you had discussed cutting that because we had this balance. But the reality is the 57 just hasn't gone to RFP yet, and it's not under a purchase order. So this amount here, the 35,000, to me still is the amount we need to do the projects that we're looking to do. And I don't believe at any point I suggested a reduction.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? going on to the yellow one. And I'm assuming we're picking up, do you wanna? No numbers, okay, no
We'll
numbers.
just take them in order and
Okay.
then we'll craft it.
Ian, you are online?
Are these my amendments?
I missed that, I'm sorry.
I'm just clarifying, are these my amendments we're on now?
Yes, starting with the general fund, general government one.
I'll just, I don't have my iPad in front of me, but I'll just say that I submitted a memo earlier today that basically kind of clarified a little bit of information as to exactly what my thought process was behind this, as well as the rationale. So, I mean, unless people have questions, I'll just kind of let it be at that. We've talked so much about this already.
Madam Deputy Mayor, if we could get finance to comment on this one. This one has to do with car washes and oil changes basically being accounted for in 2 accounts. Is that correct? Is that how I'm reading this? Or?
Yes.
And Mr. Graham, real quick here, if I could just jump in. So what I saw was we have a car maintenance budget, and then there was another budget that said we're going to do car maintenance. And oil changes and car washes to me are car maintenance. So why do we have 2 different accounts that are basically saying the same thing?
You want me to Through the chair to the body, if you look in your budget book, page 45, if you look under account, I'm just gonna do the last 2 numbers. This references accounts. I'll wait for everybody. And Councilmember Crafton, correct me if I'm wrong when we get there. So page 45, line item explanations. Everybody there? So if you look under 4030, which is services, repair and maintenance, vehicle maintenance is 3,000. And then moving down the page, 5090, which is services, other purchase services, oil changes, car washes, and other support service costs to provide information and support to the administration and public, and that's 1,500. Is that correct, Councilmember Crafton?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So if we could get finance to comment, is that kind of double dipping there? Is that what we're fixing?
It could be. It varies. So what has happened in since the mayor's car had been put into this budget, there hasn't been a repair and maintenance for it. And so we have chosen, since all the rest of our departments that do have vehicles has a repair and maintenance line, therefore we moved money into that vehicle maintenance area. You could say that car washes and things are purchase services. It could also be vehicle maintenance. It's kind of depending upon how you look at it. Our chart of accounts doesn't define which way it goes. The other part of it is it does have other support service costs that they use that money for, not just vehicle maintenance. So the whole 1,500 is not just car washes and oil changes. It does have other purchases that the mayor would purchase for support to the administration and public. I honestly can't answer that because I didn't develop her budget for her. So this was done by the mayor herself.
So in your opinion, Cassie, would the removal of the $1,500 affect the level of repair and maintenance for that vehicle?
For the vehicle, no. But I think it would have an effect on the other items that are purchased out of that other purchase services line item, the 5090.
Thank you.
Is there any further questions? Moving on to the second page. Do you want to, yeah.
Thank you. Through the chair to the council. Councilmember Crafton, this is public safety dispatch. This is a reduction of $2,000. Rationale, professional development is not part of uniforms and clothing. And this is page 108 of the budget. Uniforms and clothing, should be for new and long-term employees. Not everyone needs a uniform every year. page 108. And as you look on page 108, if you go down kind of mid-page, 6060, supplies, uniforms, and clothing. MATCOM logo wear, professional/professional development, 3,500.
Could we get Matcom to comment on this?
Want her to come up? Lori, could you come up to the?
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm Lori Creaky with MATCOM. I'm comfortable with it being reduced on this one. The next one I'd like to have comment on, if you want me to just stay here.
Please stay.
Is there any further discussion on that one? Okay, flipping the page.
Thank you. Through the chair to the council, Councilmember Crafton, Public Safety Dispatch, Staff Development, page 107 of your budget books. This is a proposed decrease of $12,000. Rationale, there is already $30,000 for travel and training, another $25,000 for staff development is over above. $13,000 should be enough based on previous years.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I want to jump in and say something here.
Crafton, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in this one here with, again, I've reviewed the P cards, and I just saw an exorbitant amount being spent on travel, and I think we should be a little bit more concise on what we're doing for traveling, and really make sure we're going to ones that are very important instead of just trying to grab everything that's in sight here for travel and training opportunities. Not opposed to travel and training. I do really appreciate it. I do think it's important. But sometimes there's a bit too much of it.
Thank you, Crafton. Council, is there any further discussion?
Could we get comments from Lori?
Go ahead.
There are three primary conferences that I attend each year. The first one is in February every year. 911 goes to Washington. And it's very important for us to get our voice out there. 911 is not seen as public safety, if you're not aware of that. So we don't get a lot of the benefits that the other public safety is able to get. First of all, for PTSD, things like that. Challenge anyone to come in and sit and take a phone call. So that's one of the things that we're out there advocating for with 911 Goes to Washington. And it's to get funding for 911, Next Generation 911, which the state really lacks. The second conference that we attend is APCO, and then the third is NENA. And those are primarily based for 911 and staying ahead of the curve on what's going on in the industries out there. Those are very important conferences to attend for 911. I have taken one person with me at those conferences. I would like to take at least 2 staff members because there are so many break-off sessions to be able to get them to. So anyway, I think those conferences are super important. It's primarily for everything about 911. That's all it's about. There's very little out there in this industry or related to 911, and those are very, very important. And in addition, it's just those vendor contacts and getting it out there to stay ahead of the curve on what's happening. The other things that are very important to recognize with MATCOM, they've been severely understaffed for years. We're finally getting our staffing levels up, and I'm seeing that my supervisors have never had supervisor training. That's something I'm trying to get them. It's that essential training that they need. They have, we've got new people coming in that are getting the new training. The staff members that have been there for many years have not had any updated training. So while these new people are getting all this new great information, it doesn't always go then back up to the people that have been there years and that need to have more training. So that's the other reason for my added cost. It's very expensive to travel from Alaska, as we all know. And then the other thing to recognize on there that hasn't been done in the past is that 911 911 training is reimbursable by the Matsu Borough 911 funds. So I can go back and ask for a refund of this and get that back into general funds. And it seems like from what I've talked with our administrative help, that we haven't been good at doing that. So that's something that we're trying to stay on top of too, to make sure that we get that money back.
So Lori, it looks like we're planning to spend about, $7.4 million roughly for Public Safety Dispatch Center this year, but we have a lot of contracts out there because we're not just dispatching our police, we're dispatching a wide number of forces. Do you know what kind of revenue we receive on that, and if we are able to be reimbursed for these expenses? Is it 100% reimbursement? Is it 50%, 80%, 90%? What do you know?
Training is 100% reimbursable if it's training specific for 911. So I think their attorney has kind of said some of the quality assurance stuff, they didn't feel it was training, even though I believe that's feedback and very much so, and would argue that. But I can't, if their legal thinks that, then it's hard to dispute that. So, but I'd say 90% of the training could be reimbursed, training and travel both. So as far as the amount of money we're getting back in that, I'd probably have to defer to Cassie. I don't have all those numbers at the top of my
Yeah,
head.
looks like Cassie's got the mic in her hand, so.
So right now we're projected for next year to receive roughly $4,058,039. There are a few of those contracts that are currently in negotiations, and so we just had a standard 5% increase over the prior year's contract, but we are in negotiations currently with DPS and also with the Matsu Borough, which are our two largest contracts.
So we're essentially able to dispatch our police force and code compliance for a little over $3 million a year. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
That is correct.
No further discussion on that one?
Also, that information is on page 106 if you want to look at it too. The numbers are there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Flipping the page, and Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councilmember Crafton, Public Safety Dispatch Center, printing and binding. Account 5050, this is a reduction of $3,000. Excess spending, previous years do not warrant this amount of money needed. Printing and binding, page 107, almost to the bottom there. 50/50.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councilman Crafton?
Yeah, this one I feel like is a little self-explanatory. If you go back and look at previous years, there was not this much being spent. If you look at the mid-year 2025, same thing, not as much being spent. I just felt like it was a way too big of an increase this year.
Any further discussion? Councilman Graham?
Madam Deputy Mayor, I would ask Lori once again, is this because we're increasing our staff and increasing training and increasing capabilities that we have this increase, or obviously part of this is just inflation, but?
Lori, please state your name.
Hi, Lori Creaky with MatCom. Yes, I was just looking at that, how many binders we were printing and stuff, but it doesn't look like we've spent that much when I look back at it tonight, so I think the 3,000 will be fine, so. I'm hoping staffing levels are stabilizing and we're gonna be good, so.
Thank you. No further discussion. Madam Clerk, we're flipping the page.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Crafton, this is the Enterprise Fund, Curtis D. Menard Sports Center, page, budget book, page 234. Small tools and equipment, proposed reduction of $20,000. An excess amount of spending on furniture has been happening.
Is there any discussion on this?
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Graham?
Thank you. I'm going to ask Scott to comment on this as well, but Scott, my notes that I had during previous meetings and during your presentation to the council, which has been a couple months ago, is that most of this spending, and he talks about excess spending on furniture, we're not buying furniture for the staff, we're talking about replacing tables and chairs that we use for events and in the conference rooms. Is that true, or are my notes correct?
Correct. Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director. So that line item for us, it's not staff furniture. It is, so part of our expenditures this previous year was for the lobby furniture and some of the ice rink furniture that we had set up. And then additionally, what we kind of started with last year is working through our existing table inventory and what needs to be replaced and also what expansion we need. So for example, we have 99 8-foot rectangular tables. I've got 20 gray meeting room tables. I have 8 new meeting room privacy with the screens and such. So I have 8 of those. So I have a total of 127 8-foot tables. We've got 40 5-foot round tables. So all of these collectively are used for all the different events and activities. And so as we go to replace, well, we're finding shortages. I think we found a shortage a couple times on our rounds and some of our rectangulars. And so the concept here was to just put in a set additional funding to maintain quality of the tables, replacing them as they need to be replaced.
So this is not a complete replacement at $56,000. This would be a routine scheduled sort of thing. This year we need to replace 22. Next year we may need to replace 7, that sort of.
Actually, so this is part of 6015 small tools and equipment. So the $56,000, the line item that I have, which is item 3 on the breakdown, if you look on your thing, tables, chairs, and furniture, we went from 5,000 and took it to 15. So it was an increase of $10,000 in our kind of operating as we can buy tables as necessary. It's not a capital purchase and come in and buy $56,000 worth of furniture. So that line, unless I'm misreading Ian, this was all in our operating budget.
That's correct. So if we were to decrease that budget by $20,000, we would be providing less service or decreased service to persons who rent the Menard Center, essentially use the Menard Center?
Yes, and additionally that we've, in the past, have only had 5,000 in that. We would also impact the other line items in that section because the line item was only 15 to begin with. So a $20,000 reduction actually takes in another $5,000 off of other operating needs.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councilman Crafton?
Yeah, question for Scott. How much of this is just going to be getting the items shipped up here?
Part of it is definitely shipping. Some items, we're sourcing our furniture and tables and chairs probably from 3 different places. Uline, Grainger, have done some stuff on Amazon. Our previous purchase was Home Depot. I did some of the other stuff in via Wayfair. So some things, like we have Grainger, and sometimes Grainger shipping is included on some items, and sometimes it's not. And that's the same for some of these others. So some of them, it's all part of just what it costs to get tables up here.
I guess I didn't really hear an answer on that. So you're not sure at this time what the cost would be? How much of this is just going to be paying the shipping?
I would, if you're looking for a number, I would say, generally speaking, overall of the proposed $15,000 for tables and chairs, we'll probably have anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 in freight, depending on where we're getting it from. And if the tables that we want or need are available through certain vendors.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're on to the white one.
Thank you through the chair to the council. This is sponsored by Councilmember Rubio, or EO, not IO. General Fund Clerk's Office. This increases under the travel page 34, 35 of your budget book, is to increase travel by $4,300 and staff development by $600 to allow the city clerk to accompany the city council to the AML winter and summer conferences. Does not include the full week in Anchorage. No, that was the intent. I leave AAMC, the affiliate conference, on Wednesday. And then the legislative meetings continue on Thursday and Friday.
Is there discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. It's historically been the clerk, city council staff has returned early in the conference and has missed out on a bunch of stuff. As the city gets larger and as our office staff becomes more and more professional, they get a lot more out of being able to stay an extra couple of days, so I would definitely support this.
Through the chair to Councilmember Graham, actually I didn't account for that, so we'll probably have to add on a few more days. This just deals with AML winter and summer conferences, which I've never budgeted for. So we can see if we can absorb those few extra days of Anchorage and see where we end up. If that's amenable to the council.
I like it. All right. Any further discussion on that one?
Madam Deputy Mayor, move to exit committee of the whole.
Is there a second?
Seconds.
It has been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to exit out of committee of the whole. It is 7:36. Is there objection? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Council, would you like to go through, starting at the pink, voting up and down? So, Madam Clerk, I'll let you take over.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move amendment 2026-44.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there discussion?
And what 44 does, Madam Mayor, if I may just chime in,
Yes.
this is the one I had requested. It increases the records management professional legal services line item by $6,000, and this is really based on the current year actuals.
Hearing none. Is there objection? Do you want to read it into it?
No, there's no objection.
Okay.
We'll just take that.
Perfect.
Passed, adopted.
Okay.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move amendment number 45.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, what this does is this is the, creates a new CIP project, construction services, wildlife mitigation program, as you talked about in depth there in committee of the whole, increases the, there is no project, so it'll be increased to CIP by $250. My notes say a 50-50 split, but Public Works is going to work with our attorney to kind of figure out the parameters of what the city's role is in fire mitigation. Is that correct?
Is there objection? Hearing none. It will pass.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move amendment 46.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, through the chair, what this does is this is Deputy Administrator's budget, other purchase services, dues and subscriptions. This is a decrease of $2,500 because the city is not required to pay chamber dues.
Hearing none. Is there objection? This will pass. Number 47.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move amendment 47.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Through the chair to the body, what this is within the administration, or planning budget, excuse me, this is under other professional services travel. a decrease of $2,500 related to the downtown overlay implementation travel.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, is there objection? Hearing none, it passes.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment 48.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Through the chair to the body, this is a decrease for interfund transfers vehicles for the IT department budget. Proposes a decrease of $4,000, so no transfer if this is adopted.
Is there discussion? Stu, you got your light on.
No.
Councilman
Go
Vila?
ahead. What are you gonna, I guess I just want another little clarification on this. Yeah, can we have a little more clarification on this one? I know we talked about it before, and then Cassie came back and said it didn't quite seem like what Councilmember Graham thought it was. So can you say that again?
Through the Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Vilak, currently the IT department in prior years was utilizing their own personal vehicles, and we're getting reimbursed for mileage, usually weekly or monthly. Currently, as of last year, the finance department had a vehicle, and we used it to go to either the DMV or basically to the bank. That's the majority of what we used it for. Currently, we no longer use it for that purpose because we can do DMV renewals online, things of that nature. And then for the bank, it's a couple blocks away, and somebody uses their personal vehicle. So we have transferred this capital asset over to the IT department, and then they are utilizing it to go to all of our different facilities. They go to the PD, the library, MATCOM, the sewer treatment plant, out to the Menard, and they utilize it to either carry back and forth doing things with servers, all the fun gadgets they have back there, and then they also go there for just repairs and other things that they have to do. So they do utilize it. It's about daily. They are utilizing it. So, and it currently gets filled up with gas down at the road shop with other vehicles.
So, Madam Deputy Mayor, so do you think this is still, that we need these funds? Or is it not necessary?
It's probably not necessary for the current year, but it will probably be necessary in the upcoming years just because that vehicle is getting up there in age. It does have pretty low miles on it due to the fact of it not, but the finance department actually was transferring money yearly over to that fund, and so there is a fund balance over there currently awaiting that. So we haven't been, it wouldn't hurt this year if it didn't go in there, I guess is the best way to say it, but I can tell you that in the upcoming years it will need some money added to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Is there objection? Hearing none, that passes.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment 49.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Through the chair to the council and audience, this is under property maintenance CIP. This is to decrease the MATCOM EOC project by $50,000. Regarding the EOC, city will negotiate any HVAC upgrades, so it says, sound like to me there are none, or there are some requested by the borough, by MATCOM, or by the EOC.
Eric, if you could.
Yeah, through the Deputy Mayor. So there are no HVAC requests through the EOC. So
Okay.
the way I understand this amendment, it would mean that the funding is to be used for MATCOM's HVAC and prepared for risks that it faces and not do any work with the EOC's lights.
So the administration is opposed to the decrease, right?
No, I think we can get what we need to get done with the HVAC.
Oh.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is there further discussion? Is there objection? Hearing none, that passes.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment number 50, 5-0.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Through the chair, this is for capital projects, roads, city streets paving. This is to reduce by $200,000, keeping it in line with the city's traditional allocation of $1 million a year.
Is there discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councilman Crafton?
Thank you. Just to clarify here, this is really not on finishing our paving project, correct?
Question goes to Eric. Eric, I think, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, this will not hinder our routine that we're doing for paving that's already existing, correct?
There you go. Hey, I just missed that part earlier. Thank you.
Repeat that one more time, Ian, please.
I was just clarifying because I didn't hear it earlier.
Repeat it one more time.
I'm good, thank you.
You are good.
Did you want me to answer that question?
Yes, I think that's what he was asking.
Right. So what I understand from the 5-year plan was pave all streets in 5 years, $1 million a year. As we've seen, costs have escalated, and we're down to the more complicated projects. So we're rounding out that project. Technically, the 5th year is now. We won't be done with paving because of the way costs have escalated. So to keep the funding means that we can get more done sooner, so we won't be meeting the deadline with this funding being reduced. We also talked about a lot of the projects we have going on with the borough and the state. They all require match money. So either way, we'll do more paving with the funding that's provided, but there's also the opportunity to use this as the match money is required for those borough and state projects. So I'd rather not see it be reduced so that we can continue to meet those goals of repaving and getting back to the roads that need long-term patches, but it's up to the council on how much work you want to see done this next fiscal year.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Deputy Clerk.
VLOC.
Yeah, I think it's too late to object, but, yeah, I think we should keep this in and try to get these roads done quicker.
Councilman Graham?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I would agree that we want to get as much done as we can, but the initial, 5 years ago when we put this program together, it was to spend $1 million a year to pave unpaved roads. And after discussions with Mr. Shaw, even with the $1 million, even if we put $2 million in there, we still wouldn't finish those roads because some of them need a little bit more thought, a little bit more engineering before we can, it's just not like we just go dump a truckload of pavement and flatten it out. So that's not going to finish. And as far as, matching funds for other things, I'd rather see those come forward individually, because this fund, the idea behind this project of $1 million a year for 5 years was to pave unpaved roads within the city. So this actually gives us I hate to call it a benchmark to go with, but I mean, we can look at it at the end of this fiscal year and say, yes, we spent $5 million and we paved this many lane miles or lane feet of road, and we have this many lane miles left. Other projects, I think, fall into other categories of this. So this $1 million, in this case $1.2 million, is specifically for paving unpaved roads, not for making patches, not for matching borough, grants for other things. So.
Any further discussion from the council? Hearing none, I feel we have an objection, so
I object.
We will do a roll.
Yep, roll call vote. Councilmember Cottle.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton.
Yes.
Councilmember Velock.
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Amendment number 50 passes with council members Cottle, Graham, Schmidt, Crafton, and Rubio in support. Velock opposed.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment 51.
Do we have a second?
Cottle seconds.
Thank you. Through the chair to the body. This is under roads. ARRC, Alaska Railroad Crossing Improvements. This proposes a reduction of $20,000.
Is there discussion? Is there objection? Hearing none, it will pass.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment 52.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Through the chair to the body, what this does is proposes for Riley Avenue pathway decreased budget by $150,000.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, is there objection? It will pass.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment number 53.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Through the chair to the body, this is to reduce the septic tank replacement project CIP by $375,000. And I think the rationale is just, you guys talked about it, so.
Yeah, I
it's
think the
not what's
rationale
typed.
would currently read fewer septic tanks being pumped and or replaced.
Is there discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, now I thought the conversation ended that if we go ahead, these are for tank replacements, if we go ahead and get those now, we get a discount if we purchase a larger amount and we know we need more than what we have. So it makes sense. I believe Eric said we still needed that in the budget. So if I'm remembering that right, yes. So I believe we need to keep this in the budget. I think we'll save money in the long run. This isn't something that is trimming the fat. It's something that we do need to do to get our work done. So I object.
Any further discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Adoption of amendment number 53. Councilmember Schmidt.
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton.
Yes.
Councilmember Velock.
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Councilmember Cottle.
No.
Amendment number 53 passes with Councilmembers Graham, Schmidt, Crafton, and Rubio in support, Cottle and Velock opposed.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment number 54.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Thank you. Through the chair to the body, this is a new CIP project under property maintenance. It's not to increase, or the project would be $19,000, and this is for lighting between Iditarod Park and Ballet Performing Arts.
Is there discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection? Hearing none, this will pass.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move Amendment 55.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Through the chair to the body, what this does is a CIP project, ice surfacing covering system for events at the Menard Center, proposes an increase of $100,000 to reflect current costs of the ice covering.
Is there discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor. Now, if I recall, Mr. Bell, to get, and I don't have it in front of me, it was to get the turf done and the ice covering done was $425. Do you remember something like that? But if we just got maybe the turf done, it was $325. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director, to kind of recap the budget process of these requests. So initially, there was a $320,000 request for this ice covering system. Upon updated costs and everything like that, it was determined that the full project was $425,000. In lieu of going up to $425,000, I proposed spending $325,000 for the turf replacement, kind of based on if you were going to go forward with the feasibility study and looking at how the Menard Center is going to be used potentially in the future. And so this started off at a lower amount, it got adjusted to the appropriate amount. And then the turf resurfacing at 325 was an additional project that the council was interested in going forward with.
Thank you. Scott, I do have a question for you. The covers we currently have, they will work for another year?
Yes, they can work another year. Sooner is better than later, but depending on if this goes through now, we would look at probably 90 days for getting it. If you're looking at pushing it another year, it's a possibility for sure. Just it's, you know, the culmination of that flooring system. The fiberboard is fractured. It gets on people's hands. The blue flooring that goes on top of that is also brittle, breaking, not that attractive. We've used a pallet system for a 6 to 7 foot stack of these heavy boards, and we finally put ratchet straps. But part of the idea is to, for safety, big picture, go to the new system. It's a single flooring system versus a dual flooring system, so it will actually increase our storage capability in the storage room. It will come with appropriate rack systems so that we can forklift everything, because a lot of these are done in the winter with the forklift from the shed into the building. So the big picture is, from why we pitched this originally, we just felt from safety and a professionalism level, this project kind of came ahead of the turf in our initial kind of review of everything. But the flooring's there, it's usable, yes. And right now we anticipate our first usage of any flooring system to be mid-November right now.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, looking to chew some fat off of it. If we can make do for a year, I would definitely put it in there next year. Thank you.
Understood.
Any further discussion? Is there objection? Yes. Can you take a roll call?
Absolutely. Councilmember Schmidt, this is on increasing the CIP by $100,000 for ice covering at the Menard Center. How do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton,
No.
Councilmember Velock,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio,
No.
Councilmember Cottle,
No.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
That actually fails. There's no opportunity for a tie break because Madam Mayor is not here. That fails with Council Members Graham, Schmidt, and Velock in support, Cottle, Crafton, and Rubio opposed. But the project, I believe, remains in the budget, correct, Finance Director? The 375, or 325, pardon me. Thank you, Ms. Muller.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I had proposed amendment number 56. I do not plan to move amendment 56.
Thank you. So on to the yellow.
Yep.
And
So if
we're
we
going
start
with
at the
number
beginning,
56?
This would be 56, correct.
And are you
If anyone-
going to ask, or I guess I will ask, yeah. Is there a movement for a motion for amendment number 56?
And what this does, this is the reduction in general government, other professional services, $1,500, car washes and oil change, or vehicle maintenance, and $3,000 is already budgeted. This is sponsored by Councilmember Crafton. Is there a motion?
Motion to move amendment 56. Amendment
Is-
56.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Is there discussion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, I think what we've got here is actually a question of semantics. And while I would agree with Councilperson Crafton that the budget request should be a little bit more concise and a little bit more definitive, where there's not a question of is this actually double dipping. Based on what I've heard tonight, I would say we're not double dipping, so I am not in favor of this, but I am in favor of the administration during the budget process re-looking at things, and where there's potential that something could be perceived as being paid for out of two different pots to kind of wrap that up, just to make the chart of accounts a little bit easier. But I am not in favor of this amendment.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councilman Crafton?
Thank you. I understand that there's a little bit of semantics going on here. What I observed by going through the P cards causes me concern about how some of the money of the city is being spent. And so I don't think we should be allowing excess spending like this. And this is what this offers. If the administration is making errors in their description of their budget, I'm sorry, but I have to go on what's in front of me, and based on what's in here, I don't think we should be allowing extra money like this. Because again, I've seen where money is actually being spent, and I'm honestly not happy with it. So I really think this money needs to be removed.
Is there further discussion? Looking at this, question for the clerk. If you took oil changes and car washes out of this, I guess really Ian, and that's under vehicle maintenance, and it just was to support service costs to provide informational support to the administration and public. I don't know if you have your book next to you to take out that oil changes and car washes. Is that what kind of throws you off on that?
No, it's the entirety aspect of it. I've seen where money's being spent on the P cards, and I think there are slush funds being created. And so I'm going to cut everything that I can to avoid that.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? Can we get a roll?
Roll call vote. This is on the adoption of amendment number 56. Councilmember Crafton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Velock,
No.
Rubio,
Yes.
Cottle,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Schmidt.
Pardon me. I vote no.
We do vote no, sorry, okay. Schmidt,
Yes.
Madam Deputy Mayor, amendment number 56 passes with council members Cottle, Schmidt, Crafton, and Rubio in support, Graham and Velock opposed. Councilmember
Yep, go ahead.
Crafton, thank you through the chair. If you want to move public safety dispatch uniform and clothing, that would be amendment number 57. Anyone else?
Councilman Crafton?
Madam
So is
Deputy
this
Mayor, I'll move
57?
amendment 57. Just
Thanks, Mr. Graham.
You got a second? Is that a first?
either
I'll
way.
second it.
Having communication issues here, so.
Is there discussion? Graham, do you have discussion? No? Is there objection? Hearing none, this passes.
If there's a motion, we'll call the next one amendment number 58. This is Staff Development Public Safety Dispatch Center. This proposes a decrease of $12,000.
Is there a motion?
No motion, so.
No motion?
Councilmember Crafton, are you online?
I'm here. I just realized that there's not a lot of favor for this one, so I wasn't even going to bother moving it.
We'll just move on then. Next page, if there's appetite, we will call, where are we? We're gonna call this 58. I'm sorry? 58. 58, thank you. This is Public Safety Dispatch Center Printing and Binding Reduction of $3,000.
Is there a motion?
Madam Deputy Mayor, on behalf of Councilperson Crafton, I move amendment number 58.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection? Hearing none. 58 passes.
Yes, through the chair to the council, if there's appetite, amendment number 55 would be to decrease the Curtis D. Menard Memorial Sports Center small tools and equipment by $20,000.
Madam Deputy Mayor, as requested by Councilperson Crafton, I move amendment number 59.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Is there discussion? Is there objection?
I object.
I object.
Roll.
And I would like to discuss. It's a little
Let's discuss.
late here. Following the talk with Mr. Bell that he just had with us today and other talks with him during the year, the Menard Center is heavily subsidized. It was built with the understanding that it would be heavily subsidized. And it was built with the understanding that it would be available for public use, for the general improvement of the lifestyle of those of us that live in Wasilla and here in the valley. Part of that is routine replacement of items, and under Mr. Bell's leadership, we have seen an increase in use and an increase in fees collected through the Menard Center. And I think if we're going to continue on this upward trend here of more people using the Menard Center more often, we need to make sure that we have got not just what we would consider small tools and equipment, but the tables and chairs need to work and need to be replaced. I know as a member of the Wasilla Rotary Club, we do a large event there every year, and we bring a lot of our own tables because there just aren't tables available. Does it make the event any less successful? No, it does not, but it's something that we had to do because there just wasn't enough seating available for us to do. So this makes the Menard Center more usable, which allows us to generate more fees, which helps keep the subsidy level or perhaps even decrease over time. So I'm in opposition of this motion.
Any further discussion? Can you take a roll?
Sure. Roll call vote then on the adoption of amendment number 59. Councilmember Velock.
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Councilmember Cottle.
No.
Councilmember Graham.
No.
Councilmember Schmidt.
No.
Councilmember Crafton.
Yes.
Amendment number 59 fails with Crafton and Rubio in support. Cottle, Graham, Schmidt, and Velock opposed. And then the white sheet of paper we'll call amendment number 60. If anyone wants to move that.
Madam Deputy Mayor, on behalf of Councilperson Rubio, I move amendment number 60.
Is there a second?
Cottle seconds.
Is there discussion?
Through the chair to the body, again, just to recap, this increases travel and staff development within the clerk's office budget for travel and conference registration fees to accompany the council to the AML winter and summer conferences. Also, the intent of council is for the clerk to remain the entire week of the AML legislative conference in December, and we're going to look towards absorbing that within our budget, those costs.
Is there objection? Hearing none. 60 will pass.
Madam Deputy Mayor, at this point, I would like to request a 15-minute recess so that Finance can put together the final numbers for the budget so that we can vote on the budget. Is that sufficient time, Cassie?
Crafton, does that 15 minutes okay for your time?
I mean, it's night here, so I think I'm gonna have to call it a night for me.
Okay.
I don't think my vote's gonna make any which way of the budget here, so I'll be done for the night. I appreciate you guys.
So you're exiting the meeting at 8:08.
Thank you, Ian.
Ian Crafton.
Has left.
So we will take a break for 15.
give him a high five, but I better not.
Don't slap his arm.
I better not.
8:32.
So we're back on the record, 8:32, with no further amendments at all to offer. The finance director is going to read the revised number into the budget ordinance 2525. If there's no further amendment or discussion, we'll do a voice vote.
If the finance director could tell us what page she's referencing, that would be great.
All right. So section 4, do we have the total and then the transfers? Is that what you and Jamie, correct?
Is the council all on the same, do you have the ordinance? It's page 7 and 8. In the beginning section, I already, the very beginning section of your budget books. And I think it's in your packet too, if you have a packet. It's under, what's the tab? It's under the introductory section.
Thank you.
Cassie, if you're ready, we're ready.
So, starting on line 31, where it says section 4 appropriation. There is hereby appropriated out of the revenues of the city of Wasilla for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, the sum of $65,109,938, which includes $8 million. $8,695,679.
Or to the finance director, could I just recap?
Yeah.
Under this, so we struck 64,628,852 and inserted 65,109,938. And that's on line 32. And then on line 33, we're striking 8,767,679, and we are inserting 8,695,679.
Correct.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna go line by line down the. All right, the clerk is 702,250. Records 59,455. Council 256,040. Administration 481,570. 481,570. 399,960 for general administration. Human resources 451,750. Planning 537,590. Finance 2,312,210. IT 785,060. Public Safety Administration 1,275,000. Public Safety Multitask Drug Enforcement, 161,760. Public Safety Investigations, 928,160. Public Safety Patrol, 6,033,687. Public Safety Dispatch, 7,339,755. Public Safety Garage, 203,670. Code Compliance, 222,100. Public Works Administration, 849,620. Public Works Roads, 2,042,125. Public Works Property Maintenance, 819,213. Museum, 449,170. Parks Maintenance, 1,378,981. Library, 1,999,370. Recreation Services, 211,570. Non-departmental, 1,293,140. Transfers, 5,997,975. For a total of 37,890,641 for the general fund. All right, moving to the other side. Capital fund is 2,662,975. Vehicle fund is 670,000. Right of way is 25,000. Road is 1,990,000. Technology replacement is 150,000. Youth court, 145,530. Cemetery is 5,000. Moving to the enterprise. Sewer, operations and transfers, 2511955. Capital is 3325000, so 3,325,000. Water is operations and transfers of $2,091,980. Capital of $2,575,000. Airport operations and transfers, $464,560. Capital is $6,625,000. Menard Center operations and transfers is $2,097,297. So it's $2,097,297. And capital on the Menard is $1,880,000. For a total of $65,109,938.
Thank you, Cassie. You want to take a roll, or you want to do? Any further discussion?
So we are moving the budget as amended at this point, is that correct? We don't need a motion, right? It's already on the
A
floor.
motion is pending, so if there's no further discussion, and the council's ready, through the chair, we're ready to take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance serial number 2525 amended. Councilmember Rubio, you're out of the chute.
No pressure.
We definitely chewed some fat, guys. Yes.
Councilmember Cottle,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Velock. Yes. The motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2525 as amended passes with council members Cottle, Graham, Schmidt, Velock, and Rubio in support. Councilmember Crafton did exit the meeting, so shows up as an absent on the final adoption. Congratulations, council and administration, we have a budget.
Celebration cupcakes, confetti, waiting. We are now on communications. Madam Clerk, please read the items by title.
Thank you. We have one IM number 2509, quarterly financial reports for the period ending March 31st, 2025, to include the month-to-date expenditure report, disbursements greater than $10,000, the investment report, the quarterly report of businesses receiving a penalty waiver for sales tax.
We are now at audience comments, which is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Please state your name. Ooh, I gotta go back. First and last name, and if you are a city resident, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. For the record, my name is Jubilee Underwood. I'm a representative of District 27, and I am a city resident. So happy to be here. Just got back from my first half of our 34th legislative session, and I'm excited to be back here in district. I just wanted to say that we are set up at the LIO now. I have a wonderful staff member with me for the interim. Her name is Maddie Trefon, and she is taking appointments. And I'm excited to be here in person and just to meet with you to hear any questions, concerns, what we can do at the legislative side of things, partner and see what's going on here in Wasilla. And so, yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out to my office. I am available, and like I said, I'll be here at meetings and showing up, and so excited to be home. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Seeing no further comments, we are now, bring it back to the dais, we are now at the mayor. Madam Clerk?
Sure, so just to recap the clerk's report, so AML Summer Legislative Conference, it looks like council members Cottle and Graham will be absent from the Monday, August 11th meeting because you'll be traveling up to Yukiavik. Along with Mayor Ledford. So Deputy Mayor Rubio will chair the August 11th council meeting. And then I believe on Tuesday, council members Rubio and Velock are traveling up to Yukiavik. So bottom line, if council members, for any reason, Crafton, Rubio, Schmidt, and Velock are unable to make the August 11th meeting, we will not have a quorum. So just let, as we get closer, if you think for whatever reason, let me know. AML conference in December, there is a conflict, so we are not going to have a quorum. We have a December 8th regular city council meeting scheduled, and so I would love a motion directing the clerk, myself, to reschedule that meeting to December 15th.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move that we have the clerks reschedule that December 8th meeting to
The 15th, Monday the
15th of
15th.
December.
Graham seconds.
Great. Any objection?
Any objection?
Okay, so I will get that rescheduled, council. And, yeah, that's all I have. Congratulations on the budget.
And our attorney has went home for the night, so we are on to Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. We can all take a big sigh now, done with the budget. Couple things real quick. I did attend the groundbreaking for the new Hilton Hotel up there at Sun Mountain. And believe me, it was blowing. It was a cold wind up there, but it was exciting to, to have, there were so many people up there. The chamber did a great job facilitating that. It was nice to see as many people that were happy about this project and happy to stand out in the cold. And I wish them all the best. I'm looking forward to this hotel being built up there because we definitely need more hotel rooms in Wasilla. I do a couple things. The next council meeting I will have to attend telephonically as I will be out of town. And because of that, regarding a memo from Council Member Crafton regarding P cards and having a discussion maybe at the next meeting, I would like to see us hold off on that from the 23rd meeting to a later meeting, just because there are several council members that are going to do some more review with P cards. And I would like that to happen first, and if we do have a discussion about this, I would like to be present for it. And I think that is all I have for tonight, and thank you.
Councilmember Graham?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor, and thank you to those of you who attended tonight. I know this was kind of like watching paint dry, but this is where the rubber meets the road when the council goes. The council is the one that's responsible for the purse of the city, so we appreciate the input and the comments, positive or negative. Thank you, and of course, thank you to Amy for covering this as well. And of course, to our representative, first time out of the chute, so it's great to have you here. Look forward to hearing more from you during the off season, so to speak, and even more during the continuation of session 34. That'll be great. So got a lot done over the last 12 meetings. I don't think I've been here 10 years. I don't think I've ever been through more than about 6 meetings on the budget, but we got a lot done and got a lot squared away. So that's good. It wasn't time wasted. It was time well spent, and I appreciate the directors, the depth of their knowledge, and appreciate Ted coming back to help out. This is old hat to you, and to Cassie. You have been an invaluable part of her team. So thank you, Ted, for helping out. So, Madam Mayor, at this time, I would like to vote to reconsider an item under the consent agenda. I would like to reconsider ordinance serial number 2516. Madam Clerk, could you tell me how I could do that without reconsidering the whole agenda?
Just simply do that. Say move for reconsideration, and this is introduction for the introduction of 2516.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. I'll leave it for now. But since everybody will be in town next time,
Okay.
so we'll be okay. All right. Thank you. So disregard my rambling, so thank you.
No worries.
And I apologize for my handwriting. Thank you for helping me with those amendments there, so I appreciate that. Appreciate everybody being here. It'll be nice to get home before 10 o'clock. This is great.
Councilman Velock?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. And thank you all for coming. We do really appreciate it. Thank you, staff, so much for your hard work on this budget. I know it was painful for all of you as much as us. And Jubilee, thank you for coming. It was so good to see you. And we'll see each other, everyone, next time.
Councilmember Schmidt?
So yeah, I guess I'm the newest one here, but I have learned so much in the last month and a half here, and I look forward to serving the city more, and I think it'll be fun here, and I appreciate you guys helping me out.
And it bring it back to me. I want to just say we need the cupcakes and the confetti because I am so excited, and I know staff is too. So thank you to the staff and thank you to the council. Remember, we are that team. Thank you, Senator Yunt, for coming, and Lexi Moore and Jubilee for remaining here. I mean, that is awesome. Good seeing you guys in the crowd, and being present always means a lot. I would like to excuse staff for the city clerk's evaluation, so you guys can go home. And we are now in executive session.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I move we go into executive session. The session would include the city council members, and I believe that's all for that. So I
Do we
move
have
we
a
go into
second?
executive session.
I'll second that.
Thank you, council, very much for all your hard work. Really appreciate it.
Dan?
We're not okay with it, believe it or not. Right?
Do you want it?
Depends, I didn't have highlighters.
I don't have
I don't have highlighters.
I mean, unless, I guess through the chair, I'll just hold off until they're,
We'll take an
yeah, we'll take an Eddie's.
Back on record at 8:55. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to the council, so unless you feel like there's a reason in terms of reputation and character, I'm willing to have a public evaluation.
Objection.
Do you want me to start off?
Yes, go ahead, Madam.
So thank you through the council to the chair. Of course, I have an employment agreement with the city of Wasilla, with the city council approved. You have a copy of that here from 2015. Per my contract, I have provided you with a written report of my accomplishments, goals, and needs. That is a requirement of Section 5 of the employment agreement. I know you received this in paper and then emailed. So, and if you have particular questions, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. So I'll go from there. Just another thing to point out in terms of any increase in salary that the council wishes to bestow. I recognize that the council has not adopted the salary grades and ranges for FY '26. You did just adopt the budget. So the amount referenced in the mail should, or excuse me, in the written material should stand in terms of a increase in salary. And I understand at your next regular council meeting is when the resolution adopting the salary grades and ranges for 26 will be presented to council for adoption.
Does that money include cupcakes and confetti?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna have
So,
cupcakes when I'm gone, right?
So Jamie, refresh my memory, it seems like, was it last year we gave you a bonus, or was it 2 years ago?
I think it was at least 2 years ago, if not 3.
Through the chair to the, I've never received, well, you did,
We did give you one small one, didn't we?
we did an increase in leave.
Right.
But actually, I was already at that level. It was the only level available by code. So you had really good intentions, but I was already there because when I negotiated my council or my contract in, I came in at the, Councilmember Graham was on the hiring committee. I agreed to start at an A, a level 1, but I negotiated in the second tier of the leave allowance. So that's where I'm at.
I remember us wanting to give you a bonus, but we didn't. Did something happen? What?
Through the chair to the council, that was when I was doing evaluations in executive session. I think it was discussed, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for executive session, but I think some of the concern expressed was, I don't know that the city typically gives bonuses, offers bonuses to everybody. So I think, maybe until that's addressed, I'm truly happy with my compensation. In terms of leave balances, those are in code, so I feel an obligation to follow those. Yeah, just, there's the thought that maybe even wanting to do that, I really, really appreciate it, but, it probably is a council decision, but per the contract, I follow the salary grades and ranges established by the resolution, and the contract really doesn't contemplate a bonus, but certainly.
And did you and your staff receive the non-rep bonus this last year, both of those?
We did.
Just so Mr. Schmidt knows, the council approved a $1,000 bonus to non-represented city employees, those which weren't represented by unions, because there was a difference there, and then the mayor on her own approved another $1,000 bonus to non-reps, so just to fill you in. So. So do we need to move to adopt this, or do we just discuss this? How do we? Well, but the pay range will be at the next meeting, right? So we're not doing anything with your pay. We're just saying, we like your evaluation, you did a hell of a job.
What I am asking for, and I suppose,
This motion, right?
through the chair, I do want that motion. I suppose if there was interest in any sort of increase, you could, I think it would be within your purview, instead of jumping up one step, you could jump up another step. I think that's allowable by the contract versus a monetary bonus.
To step L.
I believe so, and if the city attorney disagrees, I'll definitely run that by her, but I think that's allowable. If you look at section 6 compensation, it says Jamie Newman will receive a step increase as shown on the non-union pay rate schedule adopted annually. I think a step increase is a step increase it doesn't say sequential.
So, Madam Deputy Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to authorize an annual step increase for the city clerk from range 25, step J, to range 25, step L, effective July 1st, 2025.
Can we do that in executive session, or do we have to come out of executive session?
You didn't go. We're not in.
We didn't go?
Oh, we're not in?
No. Public.
Okay. I'll second that.
Do you want to repeat that? Go ahead.
Yep, so authorization would be based on the FY26 salary charts that you're going to adopt at the next meeting. The step increase for the city clerk would be range 25, step J, to arrange 25 step L, and I will double check that with the city attorney based on my current contract.
Thank you.
And if not, we'll go with the K, with the sequential step. I'll report that back to council.
No objection, no further discussion? We are good. Thank you, Jamie. With no further business at hand, I am adjourning the meeting unless an objection is raised. Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 9:02.